or Skype or whatever it was with
Right.
Sam. And this is after his first year, and he had a pretty good first year, and we're talking. And the thing that always hit me was, he didn't want to know who the offensive coordinator was. He didn't want to know what kind of offense we were going to run. He didn't care who the quarterback coach was. He was asking me about the culture of the team, about the way things would be run. He was interested in in discipline and accountability. And to me, when your best players, when you're starting quarterback, when when you're tailback, when you're starting linebacker, when your best players are yearning and believe in discipline, accountability, process, all those different things, you have a chance. And that always stayed with me. And, that one didn't work out. But, coming into this, I knew without having a chance to talk to him, I knew that he believes in the same things that I believe in, that it's not just talent. It's talent that is all pulling in the same direction. And so that interaction with him made me feel better when we made the trade.
Matt Rhule, Carolina Panthers head coach here on the Rich Eisen Show. How's McCaffrey doing? I mean, I do see him on Instagram every now and then living La Vida Loca. But is he back to 100%, ready to roll whole bit for this season?
Yeah, I think Christian's he's at 100%, and I think he's going to have a fantastic year. I see him sometimes walking in and out of the building. He's I think last year was just the toll of a couple of seasons in college and in the pros. He's done a lot. I think it all just kind of caught up with him for a bit, and I expect him to come out this year and hit the ground running. And I know he's excited. I know he's mentally in a really good place and physically in a really good place as well.
Well, and I know it's kind of a very touchy subject, certainly with him, because that was the conversation coming out of college, is that he was a fine piece of Stanford china, that few people saw play because he was dominating at 12 Eastern time at midnight, and that he wouldn't be able to run between the tackles. And man, did he carry a large load. Are you planning on still having that large load placed upon him in 2021?
Yeah, I think we want to do that within reason. We want to give him every chance to affect the game, but at the same time, we also want to make sure that we keep him healthy for 17 games, and we want to be a team that goes to the playoffs. So we also want to have him hitting his stride late in the year. So drafting Chuba was a big part of that. And making sure that we had a guy that we could spell him with some of the other guys that we have here already. So we'll use him, but we'll just try to make sure that we're really smart about the toll that he takes.
And then about the future here, Coach. I mean, you got, as you point out, a 23-year-old quarterback. We all know Brady is sometime going to have to retire, right? Matt Ryan, the Falcons just decided to draft in a manner that sticks with him as he's approaching 40, and we all know that the Saints have just lost their GOAT quarterback. Do you feel like you're positioned to be the team of the future in this division, Matt Rhule?
It's hard to say. I mean, we've taken an approach. When I got here, there was a lot of guys that were kind of ready to move on, and so over the course of 2 years, we've really turned a lot of the roster over. And I think our average age on this team is like 24 years, 24.2. We're the youngest team in the NFL, and so there's a nice cohort of guys. McCaffrey and DJ Moore and Sam Darnold and guys on defense, Jeremy Chin. They're all kind of growing up in this program together. So we want to be a team that with these draft picks we just drafted that can be really good for a while. And the other teams in the NFC South are outstanding teams. We're just a young team that's hopefully really hungry and ready to make some noise.
I know I always sometimes coach when I'm asked like, what's it like to work for the commissioner, Roger Goodell? What's it like to work for your boss? It's you're always wonder if the answer is straightforward. People wonder like, am I really telling the truth? Who's going to tell the truth about their boss? So on and so forth. But what is it like coaching for a hedge fund manager? What's it like?
Oh, I mean, it's unbelievable. I love working for David Tepper. Like, the questions he asks, he leaves the football to me and Scott, but he asks unbelievable questions because he sees the world in such a special way. And so,
like what? You got a good example of what do you got for me?
I can't even think of something off the top of my head. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I just think he's always saying why, or have you thought of this, and anything from just the way that we travel to everything. I mean, he's just got such a unique eye and a unique way of seeing things. And to me, that's so valuable. Like, I think when you put a staff together, like if everyone thinks the same, then really no one's thinking. And so to have someone on the outside that is constantly asking questions and good questions and coming up with ideas, I think it's really important. And at the same time, he's a tremendous person. I mean, this is a guy that talks to my son, before the Baylor game, and wants to, this is a guy that knows my kids' names. This is a guy that calls players on the team when things happen. This is a guy that my assistant just had a baby yesterday, and Mr. Tevers was one of the first people to reach out to him. I mean, he cares a lot about the people in the organization. So I'm really blessed and certainly have a great owner.
I love what you just said because it kind of sums up a lot here. When everybody's thinking the same, no one's really thinking. What did you mean by that? I think I know what you mean by that, but what does that mean?
Well, I just think that you could have a lot of groupthink, especially in the NFL, where everyone's kind of afraid every year. Hey, am I going to lose my job?
Right.
What do I got to do to keep my job? Hey, just keep things simple. Like, Bill Parcells, used to believe, would talk about how conflict is needed, and really at the end of the day, like I want to be a part of a staff where we're not afraid to go in a room and argue, and sometimes loudly, with different ideas and different opinions. And we never say to ourselves, well, that's the way we've always done it. We're always trying to do something better and new and unique. I think when you have that, A, everyone feels like they have a voice, but B, you have a chance to be innovative. You have a chance to be on the cutting edge because you're not just doing what everyone else does. And so we want people who speak their mind. And I think what's really cool about the Carolina Panthers is there's no, we don't compartmentalize that. I expect Scott Fitterer to walk into me and say, hey, why are we playing so-and-so there? And just like I want him to hear my opinion about personnel. And we don't want to say, hey, everyone just stick to your area. We want to be a place where we talk and communicate and argue. And at the end of the day, when we make a decision, man, we're rocking with it.
So if you don't mind conflict, it's okay if J.C. Horn brings a cell phone on the field? We're good with that then? Is that good?
I got to tell you now, this is true. When I went to the pro day,
yeah,
I was pulling up the park, and I saw Joe Horn walking in the parking lot, and I kind of turned into like 17, 16-year-old Matt Rhule. Like I stopped the car in the middle of the parking lot and got out and just said, Mr. Horn, my name's Matt Rhule. I'm the head coach of the Panthers. It's really just kind of such an honor to meet you, and because like he's someone I looked up to and respected and as a player, and now he's just a dad, which is awesome. But I definitely fanned out for a minute.
Yeah. Plus, there's no flip phones anymore, too, right? It's all smartphones now. Hey, before I let you go, did you reach out to Scott Drew? You know what it's like building a championship team in Baylor or attempting to win a national championship in Baylor, and I'm sure you must have had a lot of interaction with him on the campus after they won.
Yeah, I mean, I love Scott Drew. I obviously I texted him after the win, but I thought the game before the final game, they were shooting really poorly and from three, and he made a halftime adjustment, man, and they started taking the ball to the rim in the second half and found a way to win and go to the championship game. And I texted him after that game. I said, I don't know anything about basketball, Coach, but that's one of the best coach games I've ever seen. And he when I was at Baylor, he was crucial to our success.
How so?
Because he would always reach out. He knew people in town. He would always be positive. We went through a lot of really hard stuff at Baylor early on, and it took a tremendous toll, I think, on all of us on the staff as people. And he was someone that always had our back and always was positive with us, as was Kim Mulkey, another national championship coach. So I was really happy for Scott, and I'm excited for Coach Mulkey now as she heads to LSU.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, if anybody knows about tough beginnings at Baylor, it certainly would be Scott Drew.
Yeah,
I mean, my gosh, and taking over. So, he came on the show, and boy, did that team just spanked everybody in the tournament. And I just figured I'd ask you what you thought about it. So, he's a good dude. Thanks for the call, Coach. Really appreciate it. Always enjoy our chats. Look forward to doing it maybe during the summer before the season. We'll chat. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
You got it. That's Matt Rhule, everybody. Carolina Panthers head coach. I'm obviously biased towards Sam Darnold. Samilton. I was so happy when they chose J.C. Horn because I'd have been like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, for sure.
That this guy gets the opportunity with Matt Rhule and Joe Brady. I don't know if Brady would have been on his staff because the word was that Matt Rhule wanted to bring his staff, and the Jets were nervous about having so many young people on the staff. that didn't have a lot of NFL experience. That was the conversation why it didn't work out between Matt Rhule and the Jets. But Matt Rhule knew Sam Darnold from that, obviously knew what Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson can do, and knew if it's just a 2, 4, and a 6 over a span of 2 years, go get somebody who's 23 with a bunch of experience, younger potentially than some of the quarterbacks that are going to get drafted into 2021 or were drafted last year, and go to work. Certainly if your defensive staff thinks him, he's Matt Stafford reincarnate. So I would have thought, like, could you imagine? I'm sitting there just holding my breath. Carolina Panthers select Justin Fields. No offense to Justin Fields. It's just like, really? That's why this whole conversation, we will draft that quarterback. Again, I was hearing about this draft. Then we'll take a break. I was hearing about this draft that if Trey Lance was dropping, a whole bunch of teams would have been interested in flying up the charts to go get him. You heard about Saints thinking about getting in the top 10.
Yep.
You heard about Carolina. We might take a quarterback now.
Bill was making calls.
I was hearing that was all for Trey Lance.
Interesting.
Because the Niners, everybody was shrug emoji, except for very few people who had a great sense of things. But Niners took Lance because I think he was the most talented upside of all the three that weren't going to be drafted first 2 overall. And then, of course, there'll be the conversation whether Lance was worthy of the 2nd overall pick if Zach Wilson falters. But I was glad to see Carolina saying, we made this play, and it is right. Sam Darnold plus a player like J.C. Horn, better than let's start the clock again with Justin Fields and have this conversation of when we're going to get somebody on the field and not. Smart move. Take a break. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. We see there's phone lines lit. We'll take your calls before hour number 2, where we get the TGIF, TPIR reveal from TJ Jefferson. We sent you this song that we kind of created based off of Nick Saban. He stepped to the podium. When was this? November, December? Chris was right around there.
Yeah, early November.
Yeah, he steps to the podium and he starts talking about how somebody who strolled past coming to the podium, they just had torn up jeans, ripped up jeans, holes in them. And I heard it and I said, you know what? If we set that to music, it sounds like a country music song. We figured, you know what? Since you are an award winner, you are as good as they come, man. You are, Trace. Don't worry. You're so humble. Let me talk about that. Well, so we figured we wrote the lyrics out. We wrote his soliloquy out for you, right? Do we have the lyrics there?
Yeah,
okay, you got it right there.
Okay.
Anyway. No. Set it up however you wish. You got your own way of doing it. Here we go. Trace Atkins, everyone, on the Rich Eisen Show, doing Nick Saban's How Did We Get Here?
I guess I just want to know how we got here. Not to offend anybody out there, but I just walked by some jeans, wore out jeans with holes in them, all cut up. I just remember when I was a kid in West Virginia, I was ashamed to go to school because my jeans were wore out, only because we didn't have any better. Now they buy them that way, and I just want to know, how did we get here? Tell me, how did we get here? Don't understand these kids these days. Guess I never will. Somebody please tell me. How did we get here? People, how did we get here? Is that... you know what? My manager just a few minutes ago showed me the new laminate that we have for our tour this year. Because we didn't know what we were going to call this tour this year. So I hope there's no copyright infringement. My tour this year is going to be the How Did We Get Here tour.
Back in the day, YouTube.com/Rich Eisen Show for everything that's back in the day on this program. If you're watching on a streamer on Peacock or on a streaming device, you can watch